The gospel reading is from Matthew 14. After Jesus had multiplied the bread and all the 5,000 people were fed, the disciples gathered the leftovers. Jesus then insisted that the disciples get in the boat and go on ahead to the other side of the lake while he sent the people away. With the crowd dispersed, Jesus climbed a mountain so he could be by himself and pray. He stayed there alone late into the night. Meanwhile, the disciples were in their boat, and as they started to cross the lake, a wind started to blow. It made the sail move and the boat rock, and slowly but surely the waves got bigger. The wind got stronger, and the sky got darker as night fell.
Oh, it's pretty windy. There's not much we can do right now, so we are going to sleep.
That's fine. I will stay awake and watch out for Jesus. I really wonder, how is he going to find us? It's pretty dark, and the waves are high.
Eventually, the sky started to get lighter. Soon it would be dawn. The boat was a long way across the lake, and the wind and the waves were still strong.
Still no sign of Jesus, and I can't even see the shore anymore. It must be around 4 o'clock in the morning. I really wonder where Jesus will meet us. But what is that? There's something moving on the water.
Peter stood up to get a better view and accidentally kicked the nearest sleeping body. That woke the disciples up.
What are you doing, Peter?
Do you see that?
Soon everyone was looking.
Who's next? Who's next?
It looks a bit like a person. Oh, no. It looks like a ghost.
The disciples got scared, but soon they heard a voice come from the water. Who's Jesus?
Take courage. Take courage. It's me. Don't be afraid.
Okay. Now Peter answers.
Now Peter answers. That's Jesus. Jesus, is that really you? Jesus, if that's you, then let me come walk on water too.
Go right ahead and come to me then. Peter didn't even think twice. He jumped over the side of the boat and started walking on the water towards Jesus. The rest of the disciples saw Peter's feet touch the water, and he didn't sink. They could see him get closer and closer to Jesus, and then he stopped.
The waves are so high. What am I actually doing here? I can't walk on water. What was I thinking? Oh no, I will be drowned. Here, I am already sinking. Jesus, save me.
Jesus didn't hesitate. He reached down and grabbed his hand.
Faint heart, what got into you? Have courage. Why did you doubt?
The two of them walked back and climbed into the boat. The wind died down. Everyone in the boat was amazed. They bowed down at Jesus' feet and said,
You are the one. You are God's son for sure.
A short while later, they beached the boat at Gennesaret.
This ends the gospel reading. Praise to you, Christ. And now I ask Peter to come forward. Because today we have a special guest. So good morning, Peter. Thank you so much for being here with us this Sunday morning. We just heard about you. When you tried to walk on water. That is quite an amazing story.
Well, yes. but also a little embarrassing for me.
I don't really think so. I don't think you have to be ashamed of that experience. You know, having fear and then kind of being all surrounded by your fear. I think we all know that. I think we all can relate to that pretty well. So would you mind talking about your experience?
No, that's fine. What would you like to know?
Well, let us start at the beginning. What went through your head when you left the boat to walk over to Jesus?
To be honest, not that much. I was just so happy to see Jesus, and I simply wanted to be close to him. And when he said, "Go straight ahead and come to me," I didn't think twice, and I just wanted to do what he asked me to. Just try it out.
I see. Well, that's pretty courageous. I mean, it was still dark and windy. Weren't you afraid? Didn't you take a look at everything, how far Jesus was, or in case that it wouldn't work, that you could swim to the coast, or who would help you back into the boat?
Very good and valid points. And between you and me, I can't even swim properly. But no, I hadn't thought about any of that.
That's interesting to hear. I think we all here, we mostly plan everything pretty much in detail. We weigh the risks, we think about the costs, about the consequences of what might happen to us.
I guess I didn't do any planning because I already knew. Life with Jesus has always been unpredictable. You never know what would happen next. Jesus has always encouraged us to try the seemingly impossible. He has shown us that we can leave our fears behind if we trust him. And he has asked us to do incredible things before and will ask us to do incredible things to come. You may remember that before we entered the boat, we had just fed 5,000 men and their families with only 5 loaves and 2 fish.
That's a good point. So you didn't think about the risks and consequences?
Well, they briefly crossed my mind when the other disciples just looked at me and then they all stayed behind. And I understood my fellow disciples. We all want to avoid frustrations and disappointments, making a fool out of yourself or risk too much. But then you know me. You all have read and heard other stories about me. I don't overthink things. And yes, sometimes that gets me into trouble. But on the other hand, Jesus never shied away from that. He provoked people, and not everybody was happy with what he said and did. You all know that he never chose a life that was simply peaceful and quiet.
That's definitely true. And I admired you for being bold and fearless. Well, unfortunately, you had that little crisis. What did you feel when you were sinking?
A little crisis is nicely put. When I was already close to Jesus, I really panicked. I suddenly realized I'm walking on water. That is crazy. I only saw the waves and felt the strong winds, and I completely forgot that I actually had been walking on water for a good distance. I just looked at the waves, and then all of a sudden, all the things could go wrong came to my mind. And so I lost my trust, all my self-confidence. Maybe you know the feeling?
Yes, I do. And I think most of us do too. We all have been through all kinds of storms. You know, maybe it's stress at work or at school. Maybe our lives are turned upside down by fights with relatives and neighbors. or we have to face unpleasant change. Then we lose trust, and then we only see what's wrong, and then we panic, like you did. Life can be pretty tough.
Very true. But I made that great experience that right in my panic, I saw and felt Jesus' hand was grabbing mine, and I heard him saying, "Have courage. Why did you doubt?" That felt so good to know that Jesus was close, ready to pull me up and save me. Ever since then, I know that Jesus would never let me drown in whatever mess I may find myself. And whenever I feel like being in another storm, I remember this moment of Jesus helping me. So everyone, please remember that. He's always there with us. And you don't have to be in a storm. I've seen it many times when he simply talks to people or heals them. He takes their fears away. When he does that, they change and can be active and confident and follow in his footsteps. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. And I think most of us gathered here have experienced Jesus' hand grabbing us and helping us to overcome difficult situations. Sometimes it's through a helping hand of a friend or relative. Sometimes it's through a story like yours. It really helps us keep going and daring new things.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And you know, Jesus wasn't mad at me when I had lost all my courage in the middle of the storm. Later, the other disciples teased me and made a little fun of me, but not Jesus. He said, "Well, you were the one who tried, and don't worry, most things need more than one attempt. Just keep trying."
So in hindsight, would you do it again?
Definitely. Now I know that Jesus' hand is always close, and that gives me the courage to take on the challenges that life presents, even though I may fail again.
That's a great message for us today. Thank you so much, Peter, for coming and sharing your insights with us.
You are most welcome. Always a pleasure to share the good news.
Amen.
Amen.